This commentary video is sponsored by Beetlejuice Monopoly. Except please don't say Creepshow Art's name 3 times.
So Shannon, if you want to sue me, then sue me. If you want to spend months, possibly years, fighting it out in court, spending thousands of dollars that we, you, me, and our families don't have, then go ahead. Bury us in legal fees. Drag this drama on. Refuse to move on with your life. I don't care. I want to be done with this. I want to be done with you. I want to detach you from me like a barnacle from a ship. I've come forward. I've said what I need to say. That's all that matters to me now. All I know is that now you've put all of this out on the table, you have nothing left to hurt me with. I could be living in a shoebox and I would find a way to be okay because of the people that love me. That is all that matters. I'm done with this whole shit show and I'm ready just to return to my regular life. This is the last time I'm going to talk about this on my channel. For anyone who's worried, I have done an extensive amount of work to relocate and other, unfortunately, drastic things to hide my identity and whereabouts. I have just overall gone above and beyond to protect myself and keep my family safe. I want to thank every single one of you for supporting me, asking questions, being objective, and overall for being genuinely kind people. Your kindness and support has taken me so far, and I would not be able to do this if it weren't for all of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to stay out of trouble. See you guys later.
Hi. Hello. Welcome back. You look great. I'm glad you stuck around. Sorry for the wait, but I promise it'll be worth it. Now, this is part 3, and this is going to be like the finale of my 3-part Creepshow video series, I guess. As some of you probably have seen, I was featured in Swoop's latest video before the one she's probably releasing today, the day that I'm releasing this video myself. So first of all, thank you, Swoop, for featuring me in your video. That was really cool. And second of all, 8,000 subs. Whoa. Thank you. We have a lot to get through. I just wanted to thank you. Thank you again for Swoop for doing that. That was really dope. I still got my Petty Gang hat on, ready to do this because there's a lot. And we're talking about Emily Artful's video, that whole thing. But we're also talking about the enemies of Creepshow Art. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Hey, what is up, everybody? Yes, to return to your phone, your computer, your TV, your tablet, your laptop. I don't know what you're watching me on right now, but welcome back. It's me, it's Malcolm, and today, I don't know if this is like a cause for celebration or if it's like a cause for relief. Don't know what you want to call it, but if I know me, I probably already titled it the way I did. Today, we're going to be talking about Creepshow Art and Emily Artful, but mostly we're going to be talking about Emily Artful's final say on the whole Creepshow Art thing. And basically, Emily Artful is done with Creepshow Art, Shannon, whatever you want to call her. And I think the video itself was amazing. I think you need to watch that video in full context to understand what I'm about to talk about in one of my parts. We're also going to be talking about the unedited Google Doc that was part of Nick Diorio's video, which is going to be like the first part of my video that we're going to be talking about that whole thing. And then we're going to be talking about the responses of all the people that Creepshow Art pretty much called out in that unedited document. So we do have a lot to go through. So just to break it down for you, I will put timestamps and chapters because I've gotten good at doing those now. Just want to break it down. We have part 1, which is the leaked original script. Part 2 will be the enemies of Creepshow Art. Part 3 will be Emily Artful's victory, which is pretty much talking about her video and pretty much how I felt about it, which of course is good. Part 4, we're going to be talking about my last video. We're going to be reading some comments from my last video because, again, a lot of you had some good things to say, and I was actually very interested in what you had to say. And then part 5 is more of like an open discussion for everyone, and it's just pretty much what now, which is pretty much saying where do we go from here. So I'll get more into that when I get to that part, but for now, let's get into part 1, which is about the leaked original script. Hello, we are in part one, which we are going to be talking about the leaked original script from Creepshow Arts video that was released on New Year's Eve. Now, please keep in mind that this leak could very well not be 100% true, but with the circumstantial evidence and the way that the script is worded, I find it hard to say that this is false. So please take any information about this leaked script with a huge grain of salt. Now, mind you, I said in one of my videos how that Google Doc in the final video by Creepshow Art was like 90 pages long, right? However, in this draft, it's not 90 pages, my friends. It's actually 112 pages long. So that means that there was 22 pages of whatever Creepshow Art wrote that she personally said, nah, that's not good enough, not putting that in the video, and she just never included it. We're going to be talking about Nick DeOrio's video, which he got this unedited document from Creepshow Art's video. So a lot of my notes will be coming from that video for here. I'll also be linking all of my videos, all references, all links. I did my best to link everything that I talk about in this video down below. If I missed anything, I do apologize. Some of these notes are pretty old as January 20th, the last time I really touched it, and then Emily Artful released her video not too long ago. So I had to wait for Emily Artful's video to come out to finish this. So if any of this information seems like repetitive, I do apologize, but let's just get into it. So in Nick's video, he discloses that he got the original script leaked from like an anonymous tip, and you probably can't see the text because it's so small, but what I really wanted to point out was that the original script was like ready in August. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can do simple math. Creepshow Art's video was released on New Year's Day, as we already know. If this original script was last modified in August, before the video we saw a few weeks ago, that means that Creepshow Art was holding on to this video for 4 months. Imagine holding on to a grudge for 4 months. So the theory that Creepshow Art only released this video, mostly defending Anthony and her husband, was only to keep her monetization on YouTube, thus making me believe that one day she will make a comeback. Something to note about this leaked information as well is that everything that Creepshow Art left out of her video that she posted on New Year's Eve basically called out every content creator that she felt did her wrong. She first calls out Tipster and basically said that he was a hack and that he monetized his friend's downfall in sort of a guilt trip kind of way. Creepshow Art also apparently calls out Tipster for wanting proof and tries to flip the script and making him seem insensitive for wanting proof when the evidence is clearly stacked against her. This is what I mentioned in my previous 2 videos about burning your bridges. If Creepshow Art was actually innocent, this would have been a perfect opportunity to try to clear her name and get into people's good graces again. And then Creepshow Art had the unmitigated gall, I think Soup says it like that, the unmitigated gall to say that Tipster not only owes her an apology, but Anthony, her husband. And even went as far as to say that he owes his fans an apology for being a lazy content creator that lacks inspiration. I just want to remind you that Creepshow Art's video was a gray screen with poor editing and a lot of screenshots that made no sense. I don't think she has any right to call anybody lazy. Just saying. So the next content creator that Creepshow Art calls out in this leaked script is named Ashley Lilly, and pretty much Creepshow Art says that Ashley leaked her phone number and more to people she was sending screenshots to, saying that Ashley was the reason she had to go and change her number and all of this. Now, Ashley does address this on Twitter, and I'll read that response in the next part, but just know that Ashley pretty much says that this isn't true. Pretty much everything I'm about to say, everything I'm about to read with Creepshow Art accusing of people, it's not true. I just want to make that clear. So the next person on Creepshow Art's hit list was Repzilla, and this is where she calls him out over a tweet he made about Creepshow Art changing her number, but says Repzilla knew why instead of being confused like his tweets and like insinuated. Girl, that's on you. But anyway, now, I've already talked about this in my first video on Creepshow Art's video, but it seems that there is an extended version dedicated to Kevin, aka Coulterheist. And again, even with the extended pages, Creepshow Art once again shows no proof of anything she accused Coulterheist of. Now, these are just some small allegations, like this person said something bad a few years ago, right? Creepshow Art is accusing Coultergeist of some pretty serious crimes with literally no evidence to back it up. On the screen right now is a thread that Coultergeist left last summer about their experience with Creepshow Art, and let me just say that this thread is a lot. So I will be linking that thread down below if you just don't want to pause and read and would rather just read it on your own time. So the next 3 people Creepshow Art calls out are channels that I watch and I'm actually very familiar with. Creepshow Art calls out Petty Page, Dustin Daly, and The Viewer's Voice. This call out is centered around the drama channel Christmas Party a few years ago. So long story short about this, I saw that The Viewer's Voice posted a live stream about this situation before YouTube age restricted the video. So what happened was Creepshow Art went around and said someone was at the drama channel Christmas Party. Nick Snyder says that he reached out to the actual person that Shannon alleged was, and this person said that it wasn't true. So basically Creepshow Art lied on someone's name for attention, to be a hero. It's very unclear why she would do this. The next set of people Creepshow Art calls out are Nathan, which I think is Creepshow Art's old editor, Camellia, and then Evangelina Skov. And Creepshow Art calls out these people out and essentially said that she lent all these people money at one point, and if they were so bothered by her actions that she should just send the money back. Then Creepshow Art has the audacity to say that she gave these people platforms. If that itself does not scream narcissistic behavior, I really don't know what to tell you. Now, I did see Evangelina made a response, which is, of course, we'll go over in the next part. So after this, another call out, Creepshow Art calls out this person named Skittles Juice, the girl who made her icon, and says that she owes her $500 and calls Skittles Juice a scam artist. Now, at this point, you can assume Skittles Juice made a response, and you guessed it, they did make a response, and we'll be talking about that, of course, in the next part. In conclusion about these leaks, it kind of feeds into something I said last video as well. If you watch Creepshow Art's video again, and I'm not just saying you should voluntarily torture yourself because I would not want to subject you to that, so you can choose to take my word for it if you want. Creepshow Art's final video definitely seemed like she had a sole mission for defending Anthony, her husband, from all of the allegations. And a lot of the stuff that was left out was pretty much were call outs to other YouTubers, and that seemingly feel like it was more for Shannon's sake and not her husband's. I know some people, like, I'm not trying to call out people, so just hear me out for a second. Some people were saying, well, you know, Anthony did manipulate Shannon to do these things to Emily and just be mean to Emily, but in that kind of defense, would you like to say the same thing about the people Creepshow Art did to all these content creators? Because I'm sorry, I don't think Anthony influenced Creepshow Art that much to where she was just nasty to everyone around her. Now, if you want to say that Creepshow Art's attitude towards Emily Artful was the result of Anthony's manipulation, I can clearly see your point there. But I will say, for everything else, I'm gonna say it's more so on Creepshow Art. That's just my personal opinion. You can disagree, you can agree. That's just how I feel about that. So I just want to, again, I definitely understand everyone's sentiment saying that Anthony influenced Creepshow Art. So I just want to say again, just want to reiterate, I definitely understand everyone's sentiment saying that Anthony influenced Creepshow Art and that not everything should be on her. I get it. But you could also have to think about the stuff that was left out from the script that would have only benefited Creepshow Art. Again, this doesn't mean Anthony probably played a role in this part as well, but it definitely looks for this, Creepshow Art acted alone. That's just how I feel about that. that's pretty much everything new from the leaks itself. Again, take it with 100% grain of salt. Again, it might not even be 100% real, but with the circumstantial evidence and the way it was worded, presented, it's hard to say it's false. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. All right. Hello, this is part 2 where we're going to be talking about the enemies of Creepshow Art. And now for this part, we're just going to connect most of the stuff that Creepshow Art said in the leaked script, because a lot of content creators have since spoken out either through Twitter or through YouTube videos with their side of the story. Also, we're going to touch on a thread I found about the lolcow stuff, because I definitely think this is one of those things that we can't forget about. So we're going to discuss that a bit as well. Again, I will be linking long Twitter threads and YouTube videos that respond to Creepshow Art below, as well as linking other videos from my 2 previous parts. So very quickly, let's just list every content creator or person that Creepshow Art called out. So we have Emily Artful, the most obvious one. We have Tipster, Ashley Lilly, Repzilla, Kevin aka Coulterheist, Petty Page, Dustin Daly, the viewer's voice, Hopeless Peaches, Nathan aka Imbird, who is again Creepshow Art's old editor, Camellia, Evangelina Scov, Skittles Juice, and Homeboys Got Receipts. Now, I was only able to find responses from Tipster, Ashley Lilly, Petty Page, the viewer's voice, Camellia, Evangelina Scov, and Skittle Juice. So if there are more responses out there, I'm sorry, I just didn't find them, or maybe they were tweeted and deleted. I'm not sure, so I do apologize if I missed anything. For the most part, I really won't have much to say because these people can clearly defend themselves, and of course, they have every right to do so. So I won't really have much commentary here. So remember that tipster who, in my opinion, got it really nasty to the point where it was just like personal attacks, saying his intent was to make money off of her name. So here's a small clip of what Tipster had to say in response to Creepshow Art.
She talks about it like, again, like my intention was to like publicly talk about this from the start, and again, it wasn't. But she also talks about it like I made so much fucking money off of my videos on her. Yes, I got good views on those videos, but like anybody who thinks I make a lot of money on my channel, I don't. I don't really make all that much money on my channel. There's a reason why I have a day job in addition to YouTube, because there's YouTube. I don't make enough money on YouTube after taxes to pay the bills. I just don't. So it's not like I got rich off of Creepshow Art videos. Maybe she thinks I did. But Shannon, I assure you, I did not get rich off of videos about you. Those videos performed very well. I'm not going to beat around the bush and pretend they didn't. But nobody going into this could have ever predicted that this story was going to be as big as it later became. And I didn't make life-changing money off of Creepshow Art videos. I'm sorry, you're not that important, Shannon.
So if you haven't really picked up a theme yet, Creepshow Art thinks so highly of herself that she literally thinks she makes or breaks everyone around her. So obviously that isn't the case. I'm just saying. Next, let's go back to where Creepshow Art saying Ashley Lilly leaked her phone number. And Ashley says this never happens, according to the following Twitter thread. So Ashley gets on Twitter responding to the allegation that Creepshow Art put out for her, saying the following. She says, "Now that I've heard the full allegation, hey Shannon, Creepshow, whatever, no, you didn't, quote, have to change your number, unquote, because I, quote, kept handing it out, unquote. You changed it because all of your friends who you handed it to like candy tried contacting you when you tucked your tail and dipped. If you're going to lie on everyone, can you use one of your remaining brain cells, question mark. At this point, it's concerning how fluidly you spew dishonest statements with nothing to back them up, yet want everyone to apologize to you for finding out. I don't understand how someone can be such an effortless liar, yet also pass her personal number and address to anyone online who she remotely knows. To be honest, I'm surprised she hasn't been actually doxxed by now and hope she isn't. Anyway, who wants her number?" That was obviously sarcasm. But yeah, it seems like Creepshow Arts really does flip this narrative to make it fit her truth when it's seemingly the complete opposite for everybody else. Does that sound familiar to you? If you're thinking about Gabby Hanna, you're correct. But I'm not gonna say Gabby Hanna's name, not too much. Moving on. And something else I also found was a story about one of the last times Ashley actually interacted with Creepshow Art. And this story also involves another YouTuber, Kendall Ray. So one of the last times Ashley had an interaction with Creepshow Art, she says the following. One of the last times Creepshow and I talked, she had been stringing me along about how she was contacting big creators to boost the investigation into Davi, which I'm assuming is the Davi Vanity situation, and told me about Kendall Ray on YouTube, and said she was too busy to help. Wondering if that was true or another way to make someone else look bad. And then she concludes saying, I'm honestly just assuming it was another, quote, look at these people I know, I've got so many connections, unquote, things, and she never actually tried to reach out. It made me sad for a long time, and it's starting to feel like she just didn't want to put in the work she offered. Anyway, if any creator wants to boost the investigation, again, since the FBI is doing F all, into catching a known child approacher, let me know. By the way, this was never meant to be accusatory. I can't DM her, so posting was the next best way to try to get her attention. I know she wouldn't do something like that, and Shannon had to be full of crap. So Kendall Ray sees this and responds with the following. Kendall Ray responds and says, wow, are you serious? I talked to her maybe once, very briefly, and I know nothing about that case or who Davi is. She is just full of lies. It's truly mind-blowing how fake she is. She was so friendly to me one time we talked. Ugh, I hate when the people I thought were nice just end up being a-holes. And then Kendall Ray concludes, also to clarify, I'm not upset with Ashley bringing this up at all. I'm actually happy she did. Not shocking that Shannon is even more of a liar than I thought. Sorry if this came across like I was annoyed with her. Again, more stories about Creepshow Art just kind of being a menace to other people for what gain, right? Like who, like what would that be for? Just like the Drama Channel party going around saying someone was when it wasn't true. What was the gain for that? What was the end goal for that? That is what I am curious about, you know? That's what I'm genuinely curious about Creepshow Art's whole mentality with everything. Like, what is your end goal, Creepshow Art, Shannon, whatever you want to call her? I don't know. Big fat liar. Anyway, now one of the funniest, I really do mean this, y'all. One of the funniest responses I saw to the Creepshow Art leaks was a clip from Petty Page's live reaction, because Petty Page reacts to stuff on Twitch, which, you know, if you want to subscribe to Petty Page's Twitch, go for it. Petty Page is cool. At least she's cool in my book. I just saw this clip from Petty Page's live stream that she posted on her Twitter, and I had a big laugh about it, and I think you will too. Again, she's one of the people that Creepshow Art mentioned about this Drama Channel party that I just talked about. And Creepshow Art claims that someone was, of course, you know, at this party, and Petty Page is one of the people responsible for this. And that Petty Page, Justin Daly, and the viewer's voice should never utter another syllable about her, and just watch this clip. And just watch this clip.
I know what all of you did at the Drama Channel Christmas party a couple years ago. I know who you did it to, and I would not utter another syllable in my direction if you knew what was good for you.
Fuck you and the horse you rode in on, bitch.
That is to say, delete your videos and considering retiring. You provide the same terrible opinions based on nothing anyway.
Now, unfortunately, Dustin Daly's Twitter has been suspended, so if he did respond, I could not find it, unfortunately. However, his fiance, Nick Snyder, aka The Viewer's Voice, did have a few things to say. In the now deleted video, he does say he reached out to the victim. As I've talked about, he did post like a live stream about the situation, but it got age restricted by YouTube, so it's like deleted now. And pretty much Creepshow Art lied about the whole thing. Then he tweeted a few things about the situation. One of the first things the Viewer Voice says is not someone who successfully canceled themselves trying to character assassinate me claiming I people. Girl, hobble your Mario mushroom looking self over there and sit down. Then he says one more thing about this situation, saying, of course, the live stream was flagged and placed behind an age restriction, so I privated it, and then just if people want to see the original live stream, if you should go on a different site. I'm all about believing victims, but like if there are no victims to believe, what are we doing? That's all I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Something about that especially kind of bothers me a lot, where you're just so willing to lie about something that happened at this party and saying that the people were responsible. That can be considered libel in court, where you're saying that this happened when it didn't happen. I don't know. If someone's like a legal expert, is that libel? Am I wrong? Am I getting it wrong? I could be wrong. So if you want to correct me, just please do in the comment section below about that whole thing, how that plays into legal action. So it's just like the depths that Creepshow art seemingly goes. It's extremely terrifying to me. And I'm so glad I never interacted with this person, because who knows what she would try to say and use against me. Except I am absolutely cute and hilarious. Okay, moving on. Now, Camellia and Vangelina Scov, I don't know why Creepshow put Vangelica Scov in her Google Doc. Spell check saves lives, Creepshow art, just saying. So, Camellia and Vangelina Scov are in the same boat with that, with what Creepshow art said against them. Basically, Creepshow said, I made you relevant and I gave you guys money, but if you're truly upset with what I did, you should give me the money back, pretty much, which is a weird kind of like give me moment. I don't know what you want to call that. I'm just gonna play a clip from the response videos and I'll just come back with my response because they'll say everything that you need to hear. So here you go.
As for me, let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I would have never been friends with Creepshow art had I known what I know now. Because I am not interested in friends who allegedly stalk people for 8 years. I am not interested in making friends with people who talk all sorts of trash about their friends on lolcow. That is not a friend that I would pursue. That is not a friendship I want in my life. That is not someone I want to associate myself with. When I was friends with Creepshow art, at the end of 2020 is when we met, and it was because of the Without a Crystal Ball situation. I believed she was not all of this. I believed she was the nice person she was pretending to be on YouTube. That's who I believed she really was. That's why I actually pursued a friendship with her in the first place. Had I known the truth, I would have never done that. It's as simple as that, Shannon. Let me talk about the money she did donate to me, because she did donate money to me. And I want to talk about it, but I can't really properly talk about it because of legal reasons. I was sued by a motivational guru, so to speak, that I spoke about on YouTube. And because I didn't have money to defend myself against what I considered to be unfair and unjust, I started a fundraising campaign, a GoFundMe.com campaign. Now, when I told Shannon about it, she was very supportive. She donated £1,000 to my campaign, and she also shared it on her community tab, which I really, really appreciated. Now, that money was a donation. That was money I was raising to pay for my lawyer. I raised like £2,000 and eventually it ended up costing something like £8,000. But that's money that I paid towards my lawyer, and that's money I no longer have. But also, I would have never accepted those donations if I knew I had to give this money back. Shannon, there was no point in which you told me that I have to give you this money back. This was a GoFundMe campaign. It's literally for donations. Had I known that you wanted it back, I would have never accepted the donation in the first place.
So, let's break it down. If any of you dumb mother who I gave money to want to send it back, talking to you, Nathan, Camellia, and Vangelica Scov. there must be another person on YouTube or somebody in general called Vangelica Skov. There must be, because Creepshow Art never sent me money. Ever. Ever. Like, I'm so confused by this claim, and I don't, like, why is this a thing you're lying about? Like, I want to be perfectly clear. 100%, I would say it in court if I had to. Creepshow Art, Shannon, never sent me any money. Ever. I don't know in what context that would have happened. And it's not like I even have, like, you know, some people have like public Cash Apps and PayPals and all that. I don't have those public. I don't even have a Cash App. I don't have one. I don't even know if it works in Europe, actually, now that I think about it. So I'm very confused as to why she would lie about this, because it just, there's no...
Like I said, can we just take a moment for those that saw in the script that Creepshow Art put out that she put Vangelica Skov in the script and never gave Vangelina the respect of getting her name correct? Also, again, this theme of Creepshow Art going, how dare you betray me after I did all these things for you, blah, 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 is the biggest farce I've ever witnessed. Just because you're nice and look out for someone doesn't give you a free pass from criticism. I'm just saying. And something else I want to point out that Camellia points out in her video is that Nathan, of course, and Bird used to be Creepshow Art's editor. So there was this talk about a computer given to Nathan and Bird, and if Creepshow Art gave him a computer as she claimed, that is definitely a business expense, and maybe it's even a tax write-off, because that is a business transaction and it's the purpose. You gave him a laptop for the purpose of editing your videos. So again, if someone legal accounting is better at it than me, because obviously y'all are smart in the comments, please let me know how that works out. So let's talk about Skittlejuice now, which this is the person that Creepshow Art called a scammer and made this $500 kind of a big deal. On Twitter, Skittlejuice made their response to this claim and said the following. So Skittlejuice goes, so Creepshow Art is apparently calling me a scam artist. Let me just talk about that real effing quick, because now my name is being dragged through the effing dirt. I drew fan art for Creepshow Art in the past, which led her to notice me in the first place. We would talk on and off on Discord, and at one point she wanted a banner commission, which I made for her. This is the art that has been used in almost every video about her. Also, at the time she had commissioned me, these were my prices. I wish I could access our Discord messages, but lo and behold, she deleted everything when she left. Again, I will be linking this Twitter thread down below, so you can like click into that thread and just see everything that went down. Basically, she came to me after to ask for a new one with all black hair and gave me $250 upfront to make it. That was not what I charged her. It was way over what I normally charge, even with my new prices. I thanked her and she said she would give me the other half afterwards. However, the first $250 was not sent to me, and when I asked her about it, she told me that she accidentally sent that money to someone else and joked about how they got a bonus on accident. But she apologized and sent me my payment as well. And of course, Skittlejuice shows like receipts, I guess, of the money they received. Then continues to go, that $250 is all I got. I had a big workload, so I hadn't gotten to it for, I'd say, a few months. Quote, well, in parentheses, Skittlejuice writes, I'm at fault for this. I overload myself with work during the pandemic. However, before I could work on the art piece, Shannon was outed and she deleted every social media she had. I had no way of contacting her, and with my art being flaunted about in almost every video about Creepshow Art, I made this disclaimer. Another thread that they posted from last year. Again, I will be please click on the links that I put down below to get the full context of like everybody's response. Skittlejuice continues to say, I didn't know how to contact her, and I had no way of doing so. And she never contacted me for any refund, which I would have given her if she had. But after she left, Emily found my post and offered to pay off the rest of the commission for Shannon. But Creepshow Art don't want to talk about that. Okay, if she wants a refund of $250, not $500, I'm still waiting for her to contact me. If she wants me to draw her something else in exchange for the $250, she is more than welcome. But again, Shannon, you have to approach me. The entire time we spoke, we were friendly. We joked about Taco Bell, and we sent each other supportive words of encouragement. You told me this payment was because you wanted to support artists, and now I'm a scammer, apparently, for having all contact cut from me. Skittleshoes concludes by saying the following: I had no part in any of this. I'm being dragged through the effing mud, and some attempt to deflect anything away from you. You tried to ruin my livelihood, my reputation, and expect me to pay you $500. I'm baffled. To be honest, I don't feel I owe you crap. But still, my offer is there. Sorry for the tag at Nicholas DeOrio, but someone notified me of your video, and I figured you deserve to be notified as well. I hope this clears some things up on my end. So, like, something that I personally found creepy, and not just about the people that I mentioned, there were many more that were just overall affected by the situation itself. But I noticed with all of these content creators is that at one point or another, Creepshow Art called them a friend, and those people seemingly felt the same. So for Creepshow Art to give a giant middle finger, and in some cases use their most vulnerable times about her as a weapon, is beyond gross to me, because there's just some things you just don't, even if you have beef with somebody, it's just some things you don't talk about. Personally, that's just how I feel. Like, I've had my squabbles with other content creators. I'm not going to say who, and please don't ask. But just know that I don't really publicly bash them. I don't publicly use things against them. Will I talk about it in private? Of course I will. But at the end of the day, my goal is not to hold dirt over anybody, or just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of use a situation against them. So speaking of gross, I think it's only fair to briefly discuss the lolcow stuff. Once again, but this time I'll be reading one of the long lolcow threads from last year. And of course, again, I will be linking that thread, of course, down below. So please click that on your own free time. For those that are like, well, how do we know it was actually Creepshow at all? Let me just tell you, for those that don't know, Creepshow Art, in one sense, that her IP address was spoofed. However, the way her IP address was linked back to her was in a way that was irrefutable, to the point where it was obvious that she did this. So basically, she snitched on herself by accident. Yikes. So Twitter user Disho1234 has multiple threads about the lolcow stuff, and I feel that it's the best compiled thread of information. And again, I highly recommend that you look into it. I will read most of the thread, and I will try to save my thoughts for the lolcow thing when I finish the thread. It's like a 20-part thread. I'm not gonna read all of it, but I'll read most of it. So the first part goes, I've seen some people ask about the Creepshow Art lolcow drama, and this is a thread. Shannon has been posting on lolcow, a gossip site about influence, since at least 2018. She was posting anonymously, but admins outed her as punishment for pretending to be her own fans and haters, which is something you're not allowed to do on the site, which is, of course, why the admins revealed her identity. Just want to make that clear for everybody. When her sibling was in the ICU, Shannon posted their social media to lolcow, trying to have them attacked for being too much of a social justice warrior. She posted insults towards her friends like Ready to Glare, D'Angelo Wallace, I think, and Sexy Edwin. She called people fat, autistic, ugly, the R word, etc. Most of her posts are either about her own online persona and content, or about her drama with Hopeless Peaches, and I'm gonna try to read that name, Toby Majestic, in which she calls Peaches a leech who sucks creep shows. Get it? And then Toby Shannon 2.0. Too many posts to even screenshot. Link at the end of the thread, which again, I'm going to be linking that thread, so please read into it. She loves talking trash about art tubers and calls some of them the T word, which is extremely homophobic and transphobic, and fake boy, which is I didn't even know this, a slur towards trans men. So I apologize. Like, I was just reading it. I do apologize if I offend anybody out there. I wasn't trying to. For how much she likes to virtue signal about body positivity, she sure likes using chubby and fat as insults, as well as making fun of Sayukuno skin issues. And when you click the thread, it's going to say not okay underneath a lot of those posts. That is the admins themselves saying that they do not condone what this person is saying. At least that's what I was informed, and that's what I read into. So if I am wrong about that, please correct me in the comments below. While being an outspoken fan of Corpse, I guess this is Corpse husband, I'm not really familiar with this content, and making videos about how toxic and mean the fandom is. She was lurking a thread that tried to dox him and posted in there making fun of his fans, saying a girl with a corpse tattoo had made herself undoable? I don't want to say that word, but undoable, unwinnable, don't know what you want to call it. She manufactured a whole argument in which she plays both sides to make herself look bad, good, I don't even know at this point. All the posts outlined in the red are her. Again, that's really small to read, so you would have to click on the link that I send down below and just click on the photo to just really see. But this isn't the first time that Creepshow has allegedly done this on Lolcow. It's just one of the times that she got caught. She bragged about her finances, insisting multiple times that she makes a specific amount. She also bragged about her friends' follower counts and how other influencers are scared of her. I already mentioned this, but like side note, note the red, this is not okay text was added by the admins after the fact to help readers identify her posts, and as a reference to show that she has a million videos with that title. I'm not going to touch on all the really weird comments she made putting herself down to manufacture drama and hate, which is fair. I think that's pretty fair. At one point, she was making videos about a woman who is now misunderstood to be very mentally unwell with paranoid schizophrenia, but Shannon is still posting in her thread telling others how to keep finding her new accounts. Her self-promotion and sleazy ways of trying to drum up fan hype for herself on Lolcow, of all places, are honestly the least disgusting aspect about this. I'm in awe of how two-faced she is. I didn't want to post all the really nasty comments, but you can read them for yourself. And then this show puts another link, which again, if you want to read into it, you can. It's a lot, so just massive trigger warnings everywhere. But like I've already talked about in my videos, it was like transphobic, homophobic, racist comments, so just be ready for that. And then this is discussing about, you know, how do they know it's her, and it talks about the IP spoofing. I've already talked about that, so we don't need to really get into that. And then it goes into more examples and more examples of how Creepshow has been exposed for doing this and how the admins do their job, I believe. And then this show posts a video about Creepshow art is lying to everybody from a different creator that they were mentioned in the thread, and of course links that video in the thread as well. So this show actually brings up a good point right here and says, my biggest question is still, why did she just instantly accept that it was her IP and didn't even need to see it to believe it? If someone accused me of that, which is fair, the first thing I'd say is show me that IP address. So while she was being criticized for the Hello Leash thing, she started hiding her community tab and blaming it on, you guessed it, hackers. And just to get into this a little bit, Creepshow pretty much put like a glitchy thing on her YouTube banner and like a glitchy photo making it seem like she was hacked. What? This show continues to say, Conveniently, right when she needed to make an announcement in text, her YouTube wasn't hacked anymore. She changed the glitch icon to a childhood photo and then re-enabled her community tab to post an explanation. Like, it's way too obvious that it was her. I don't know how Creepshow didn't think people would put two and two together, but I digress. Again, I want to ask, how come Shannon gets hacked so often, but there are never any leaks? How come all these people get access to her stuff, but then decide not to do anything other than to mess with her icon and shut off the community tab where she's being criticized? It's like too obvious. If anything, if Creepshow really wanted to sell it, maybe delete some videos and start freaking out on social media, making it seem like it's not you. I don't know. These hackers had full access to her Google account and did nothing. Entering alone is a crime, and they did it just for this vague BS instead of reading into her emails and resetting all of her passwords, ? And for everyone that says there's no evidence for either side of the story, Shannon already validated the information from locale by confirming that it is her IPs. She's just arguing how the posts were made. Again, Creepshow Art snitched on herself. There you go. And just the next bit is more screenshots that, again, you would have to click on to see the full extent of that. And then it continues on to more links, more references, and then another link, another reference, and then lastly one more like mini thread. So that's pretty much the whole gist of the locale thing and why it was just so bad. So again, I will link that down below if you really want to look into it, but just massive trigger warnings, racism, fatophobia, homophobia, all of that, it's in there. Just be wary. I'm just warning you. I don't know about you, but I think there's more than enough to really say that Creepshow Art's actions, especially when it comes to this side of the whole situation, is on her and her alone. Did her husband have something to do with it? Maybe. But of course, we'll never know. All right, you're in part 3, which of course is the most recent part of my notes, which is we're talking about Emily Artful's video, and this is pretty much Emily Artful's victory. And I know I mentioned Emily on Twitter when she posted about to put the video out, and she pretty much responded to me saying, you know, that there are no winners in the end, which I fully agree with. But when I do say it's Emily Artful's victory, I just want to say it in a way that's like, Emily Artful is moving on and just trying to just do better with their life instead of just trying to hold on to any negative energy from this situation. You can clearly see after the video was over that it seemed more like Emily Artful felt free. So when I say it's Emily Artful's victory, it's more in the sense of she seems more free from the situation and it's not holding her down anymore. Does that make sense? I hope I made sense. So Emily, if you're watching this, that's what I mean by your victory. That's all I wanted to say. And I just want to say that you should actually watch Emily Artful's entire video to really understand the lengths of the lies that Creepshow Art really had. Some of the things Emily talks about are her history with drugs and about her sobriety. And of course, those things are not my story to tell. So I would really appreciate you if you go and watch her video before you watch this part. A lot of people, myself included, kind of said that, you know, Emily shouldn't release a video. Maybe just you didn't have to make a video. And actually, Emily addresses this in the beginning, and she actually brings up a very solid point that I didn't even think about. So it kind of makes me rethink my line of thinking. And basically, she said she made the video in the first place saying that not everyone has Twitter, and like her YouTube audience would have been confused about the whole thing. And it really didn't click to me until it makes sense, right? Your Twitter audience for a lot of YouTubers is always going to be smaller than your YouTube audience. Like, for instance, I have, I think, like 1,700 followers on Twitter and opposed to 8,200 on YouTube. So it's natural to say that everybody on my YouTube isn't going to understand a lot of things I talk about in my video unless I talk about it on Twitter. It made more sense in my head when I said that, so I'm sorry. But I definitely get where Emily Artful is coming from with that. So the first part about Emily's video is about the legal letter that she received, and as discussed in my last video, neither of these things that Shannon said in her intro actually happened. Which leads me to my question once again. Who is this for? Like, who is this for? Because I still don't know who Shannon's audience was with that video. Then Emily then brings up an interesting piece of evidence from the lolcow post that Shannon did. Apparently Shannon name dropped Emily's name a lot in the post, that being a form of projection, trying to make it seem like Emily was guilty of what Shannon was doing. Does that make sense? So pretty much what I'm trying to say is Creepshow Art used Emily's name a lot to try to make it seem like Emily was the one doing what Creepshow Art was actually doing on lolcow, and in a way that's kind of like projecting her own guilt. I don't know if Creepshow Art meant to do that or it's just a coincidence, but I did find that weird as well. So remember when Creepshow Art brought up the fact that Emily Artful had a crush on her teacher while in school and really tried to make it seem like Emily was such an awful person for it? Emily actually pulls up a clip herself where Creepshow Art, in her own words, says that little children shouldn't be demonized. Of course, Creepshow Art magically forgot that she made a video defending that type of behavior, because all she could see was how much better Emily Artful was than her at that point. So, anyways, we get into the part where Emily addresses her history with drugs and pretty much shuts down all of Creepshow Art's claims because, as we've pretty much talked about, someone under the addiction or even recovering are probably not going to be fully truthful about their own timeline with drugs and how long they've been sober for. Also, in the words of a legend in Swoop, it's not your business, Shannon. Period. End of story. And of course, this leads then to the night that Emily was essayed by Anthony, and through her showing her own messages and some of Creepshow Art's screenshots from Creepshow Art's video, Emily seemingly put together that she was absolutely under the influence and could not consent, which we have talked about. She could not consent to a physical encounter with Anthony. So much so that Emily believes she found the night itself that the incident took place. Later on in the video, Emily Artful takes accountability again for all of the comments she made when she was younger about people's weight, and then goes on to talk about her own struggles with her own weight. And then Emily Artful does one of those things that a lot of influencers don't do. Emily Artful actually never says that was a different person, that person wasn't me. Emily Artful actually says that was her and that she did do those things and she does regret it and she wants to grow from it. That is how you take accountability. James Charles, Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, Trisha Paytas, Gabby Hanna. That is how you take accountability. Just saying. Anyway, Emily Artful then has someone codenamed Bob who she interviewed to fill in the gaps that Creepshow Art just assumed without any evidence when it came to her home life and like getting fired from her job, thus putting a strain on Emily's relationship with her and Bob. So after this, we go back to the emphasis of sobriety dates and that Shannon brought it up in her video, and pretty much Emily debunks Creepshow Art's claims pretty easily. Like again, you have to watch Emily Artful's video to really understand what I mean by that. And then when you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, well, that was easy. Although she didn't have to, because of course, again, it's none of Creepshow Art's business about someone else's sobriety, especially if it isn't affecting you personally. It seems that Shannon was just hoping that if she could just prove that Emily's logos was not credible, then anything Emily said ever could be put into question. To more debunking of Creepshow Art's claims of how Emily and Anthony's relationship went, from breakups to passing out with Anthony. And again, just please watch Emily Artful's video for reference, but just know all the things that pretty much Creepshow Art alleged of Emily and Anthony's relationship just wasn't true. Shocking? I know. Early in this video, I mentioned a creator by the artist name of Skittles Juice and about how Creepshow Art claimed that they were a scammer, and of course that got debunked pretty easily again. And in Emily's video, she actually showed this conversation between someone called M and how Creepshow Art actually scammed them and didn't fulfill her payment of commission for this deal that M made with Creepshow Art. So I find it funny that pretty much everything, and I do mean everything, Creepshow Art tried to throw out at other people was just giant ass projection. Literally look at everything that Creepshow Art threw out there. It pretty much was things that she was either guilty of, things that she did. The only thing that doesn't fit would be the Drama Channel Christmas party thing, where she accused 3 other content creators of causing someone to get. That's the only thing that I don't think Creepshow Art ever did to anybody. Just want to put that out there. And I don't know about you, but I think it's funny that Shannon is going around popping her chest big and wide, but when people finally clap back, she's just as quiet as a mouse. And I love people like that. I do. I love people that talk so much behind your back, and when you confront them about it, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, you were all big and bad earlier. I don't know what happened to that attitude. Okay. Also, if you think another fellow artist like Creepshow Art would understand that artists getting screwed over for commissions is very, very common, why not set the example and not do that and actually fulfill what you agreed to do, instead of just ignoring the artist altogether when you get what you wanted? Also, just to be clear, Creepshow Art was doing a commission for this person M, and Creepshow Art never finished her side of the deal. So you call somebody else a scam artist while you yourself is a scam artist. Does it make sense? Am I clicking? Are you lost yet? I know, it's a lot. Let's continue. So in the end of Emily's video, she just kind of like reiterated that she does take full accountability of how she acted in the past, but also makes it clear that she never really said that all this evidence was Shannon and Anthony, and just encouraged people to make her own conclusions. And if you actually look back at Emily Artful's video, she did actually say those things. Of course, the circumstantial evidence, it's pretty clear that either one, both, or like partially both were involved in each other's adventures, whatever you want to call it. And I also think it's important that Emily herself brings up that Creepshow Art could only provide evidence up to 5 or 6 years ago to prove her point that Emily was a liar and a terrible person. There wasn't anything recent to point out Emily Artful as being as bad as Shannon claims. And in the end, Emily is seemingly done and just kind of like ready to move on to the next chapter of her life. And honestly, good for her, because just seeing her social media posts, like I've said before, just seeing her social media posts after the video, you can tell that she just feels more free and not just burdened by Creepshow Art anymore. So to Emily, if she's watching this, I personally wish you well and hope your future is as bright as your optimism. And I fully mean that with all my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 4, where we're just gonna talk about my previous video and we're gonna read some shady comments, which I got my hater blockers on because some of y'all be hating. I'm just saying. Was that a little too much? I apologize. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we have some comments from my last video that I posted a couple weeks ago. And again, a lot of you have a lot of good things to say. So I just picked out a few, and then I just want to respond to things you had to say. And then we're going to finish this off with just like an open-ended discussion. And I don't know how long this video is going to be. If it's over an hour long, sorry. I still love you. Thanks for sticking around. So let's just go to the first comment that I saw. And this is from Saraba? I apologize for getting it wrong. So this person said, can we talk about how Anthony is really the type who allows his partner to be a punching bag, ? One aspect that is interesting is how Shannon tries to defend Anthony but has to use Emily's social media to do so. The woman lives with a primary resource who has evidence of what happened. Shannon literally has kept Emily's online accounts but doesn't have Anthony's end on the encounters. Anthony had a YouTube account and tried to be a public figure in multiple ways, so there's no camera shyness. Why didn't he go onto Shannon's video and help her? Which, again, this Anthony dude has been mad silent, you know? So I don't know what he's saying to Creepshow behind the scenes, if he's trying to just laugh behind the scenes because he knows he's just that creep. I don't know. Screw him. But he is a coward. I want to say a different word, but YouTube will hate me for saying that word, so I'll just call him a coward. So this person, Shannon, says the following: I'll tell you something. My future husband of 16 years would never have me or let me take the fall for him like this. He would never have me defend him against the world like this. He would never cower behind me while I make a fool of myself in defense of him and his obvious lies. He handles his own stuff like an adult. However, he would never essay and cyberstalk his ex and ask me to join in on it either. So different people entirely, I guess. Which, again, just want to make it clear to Creepshow Art, your man was about to cheat on you, and pretty much he did, and then he lied about the whole encounter, making it seem like Emily Artful was, I don't know, this horrible person. And then I just want to reiterate with Creepshow Art saying that Anthony doesn't have a secret phone. Girl, he lied to you, and he probably had a secret phone. Just saying. Anyway, we have Glow Mendez, who says, my problem with her refusing to address the locale situation is that while it seems to make sense that she wants to focus on the legally concerning accusations, everything to do with the locale is about whether or not we can trust her. How is anyone reasonably supposed to believe anything Shannon says when she stabbed people in the back who they thought were closest to her in the back? When she lied to all of us about Amy spoofing her IP address, which we know for a fact didn't happen because of how IP addresses work in general, she can't act all pissy that no one believes her when she doesn't provide good evidence. When you don't have good evidence to go off of, the best you can go off of to make a judgment is a person's character. And Shannon isn't putting any effort to establish herself as having a good character when it comes to the locale or her demeanor about any other controversies around her. I don't know how I read that so well. I need to subscribe for that because that was amazing. But this person brings up a good point. You don't address the locale stuff and you wonder why people don't believe you. Just saying. We have Luna Darklore, who says, I feel like Shannon can be redeemed. Because I asked in my last video, is Creepshow Art redeemable? Can she come back? So I guess Luna is responding to that. So Luna says, I feel like Shannon can be redeemed. However, it's going to take one hell of a wake-up call, and it's going to take a lot of hard work to even put a toe back into everyone's good graces. Where she is right now, will she do it? No, because she hasn't hit rock bottom yet and had her wake-up call. I just hope Shannon has had the realization that she needs help and that her relationship isn't the best. I am concerned about her safety. With what Emily has said and the light Shannon painted him in, I don't want to wake up to something that happened to Shannon. I guess this person is talking about Anthony as well. I get it, I really do. But that's why I also said with the locale stuff, it's kind of like, man. Like, I get that Anthony probably manipulated Creepshow Art, and actually no, I want to say he did, and to an extent, but when it comes to the locale stuff and things like that, I personally feel that that was all Creepshow Art. And you gotta remember, a lot of the stuff, the evidence that she found, probably Anthony gave it to her, but also a lot of the stuff she found was just like, it was too much. Like, you shouldn't have all that information on somebody, girl. And then let's also not forget that Shannon said someone sent her this information and she didn't want to use it, but yet she held on to it. I don't know. Weird. And then we have Kat C, who says, thank you for taking the time to explain how there is no consent when intoxicated. I think so many people don't understand this. Also, I love your videos, like you were talking with a friend about internet gossip. I feel like I'm gossiping with a friend. Well, thank you. We do positive vibes over here. Obviously, and also people really like my voice. I don't know. This is how I normally talk. If you just saw me in real life, this is how I talk, and like my laugh is the same. Everything that you personality-wise you see in a video, that's me. So yeah, the whole consent thing, it still bothers me that, you know, I don't know. And then when I don't want to get into it anymore. It just creeps me out. Pun intended. It just creeps me out that, you know, he was just so willing to just, I guess, cover up the truth about what he did. And I don't know. It's just not okay to me. And the last comment I want to read is a two-parter, and this is from Sydney. Speaking of Sydney, love your hair. You look great. Sydney says, I think a very dark part of James and Shane's comebacks in particular is that their core audience, children, overlap with the central reason of their cancellation, taking advantage of children, while older audience members were able to recognize their exploitive patterns and behavior. Many of the children being manipulated likely could not, even with the other channels covering it. It often takes years for children to realize that they were groomed / the offending adults' actions were in fact bad. Because of this, I think James and Shane were able to retain such much of their core audience simply because their core audiences were also their victims. And just want to make this clear, this is referencing that I brought up that other problematic YouTubers still have a platform on YouTube, and that's why I brought up is Creepshow Art in the same boat as them. Like, could she be on the same boat as Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, James Charles, and redeeming themselves? And I just want to make it clear, they're not redeemed. Their numbers are pretty bad compared to what they used to get. I just want to make that clear. Part 2 of Sydney's comment reads the following. Shannon's audience, on the other hand, tended to be the older demographic, as well as, due to her mental health context, a demographic that hadn't experienced going to therapy. Because of this, I think her core audience is a lot more likely to recognize the gravity of her actions and inability to deliver a sincere apology or explanation. While Shannon did manipulate her audience to an extent by putting on a relatable and sweet persona, the people primarily affected by the actions that led to her cancellation were, as you mentioned, other public figures. Thus, her former audience could view her malicious, stalking, and backstabbing behaviors more from the outside. Also, many in her audience followed the people that she hurt, putting them in the same pedestal as Shannon. This makes it easier for the audience to side with the victims because while her former fans may be losing one creator, it's in the name of defending multiple other creators they enjoy. Sorry that was extremely long. I agree with you. I don't think Shannon can come back. Thank you, Sydney. That was well spoken. And I think the biggest, this is what I mean by burning your bridges, by the way. Also, I don't have my my shades on. I need to put those jokes back on because yeah, I just think for me, burning all your bridges was the biggest mistake Creepshow Art really made, because of course people are going to speak out against you if you piss them off. I just, who is this for? Who is this for? Okay, so this is the 5th and final part before we get to the big conclusion later on. This is just like an open discussion about what now. And what I mean by that, what now, is where do we go from here? Let's say Creepshow Art does come back. What do we do? If Anthony speaks up, what do we do? Just what now is my question. It seems like I said Emily Artful is completely done with the situation, so I'm not going to put her in this equation anymore because she wants to move on, which is completely fair. But I think what now is going to happen is we need to be, as viewers, YouTubers, I guess, not necessarily we need to mind who we watch, who we enjoy. When things like this come out, I'm kind of glad that people didn't really try to defend Creepshow Art. Keemstar did. That doesn't count. Keemstar is a misogynistic, sexist, racist troll. Nobody should really be listening to him. Anyway, but I'm kind of glad that it seems like the whole YouTube community, both YouTubers and people alike, kind of were in unison that this was not okay. What's gonna happen that next time that there's another person doing this kind of behavior? And I think what now happens is, I guess we just move on. I've already said I think Creepshow Art will come back. I've said this. I also said that Creepshow Art, it's gonna fail. Like, Creepshow Art's gonna try to come back. It's not gonna work. And just like Brookhouse, when Brookhouse tried to come back, it ultimately failed in the end. And as you see, Brookhouse kind of just gave up on YouTube and just kind of like withered away into the darkness. I think Jordan Cheyenne is another YouTuber who tried to come back. I don't know if it's going to be successful. We shall see. But there have been a lot of content creators that have tried to come back. It didn't work out because people don't forget. And I think this is what I mean by, like, if Creepshow Art does come back, people are just going to remind her what she did, and then she's going to go away again. And then she's going to complain about how people don't believe her, even though she's a big fat liar. I ask you, the people watching at home, what now? Like, what do you think we should do the next time something like this comes up? Am I saying that it will come up again? I am not. What I am saying is, where do we go from here? It does get tiring, and I understand this from both sides. It does get tiring when you have to look into every content creator to make sure that they're not problematic, or they've had a problematic past that they haven't addressed. And it gets tiring to do that all the time. So, like, I've been called out, just being transparent here, I've been called out for supporting creators, and they were just, like, really bad people, and I didn't know about it. But it's like, the internet culture the way it is now is like, if you support somebody publicly, that means you know everything about them, their past, their problematic past. But let's just talk about Shane Dawson, right? I don't hide it. I used to react to Shane Dawson videos. I used to be a fan of Shane Dawson. I wasn't aware of all the problematic things he did in his past, and once I found out, I was done, right? There was a situation I was involved in last year. I got called out for being friendly to certain content creators when in reality I just like supported them. I really didn't know the extent of how mean they were and all that, so people called me out about it, and I was just kind of like confused because I really didn't know what was going on. And even if I did address it at that point, it was coming off as performative, so I just kind of just stayed silent, just took the L on that. But like, there's a lot of things that I've experienced on this platform from other content creators that if I told you the truth about some of these y'all favorite creators, your jaw would drop. I'm not trying to expose nobody though, because that's not what I do. But what I think what's gonna happen now is, honestly, I think YouTube might step in. I don't know if they're gonna step in and delete Creepshow Art's channel. I don't think there's anything that's gonna lead to a termination of account. But what I think is gonna happen is that the next time something this major happens, YouTube will step in and hit the full ban hammer next time. I know Sujin Wojcicki, I'm sorry, I said her name wrong, the CEO of YouTube, is very aware of these kind of things, but it does get to a point where how much does someone have to do before YouTube steps in? Is the extent of punishment only going to go to, if you do it on YouTube, that is, we can punish you for that, versus you do it away from the platform, we can't punish you for that? Because I know for some jobs, just being, again, transparent, I know for some jobs, if you do something even away from your place of work, and if it negatively affects the job's reputation, you can get fired for that. Now, do I think that's fair? It depends on the situation. I personally don't think it's fair that your outside actions affect your job status, but that's just me. But I do think what happens now is that YouTube will start to step in more. I'm kind of afraid that they're going to try to monitor commentary channels more, even though we didn't really do anything wrong, but just talk about what happened. I know that commentary channels have been the like epitome of discussion lately about how far is too far in discussing things. Like, should we leave some things to just the legal court and just let them handle it? Should we let the court of public opinion handle it? And I think for this situation especially, I think the court of public opinion actually kind of mattered because, again, there were other content creators involved, versus when you have these other problematic creators that affect people that don't have big followings or don't have followings at all. Like, see the David Dobrik incident where Dirty Dom, yikes, that whole thing. And Dirty Dom is still on this platform. He posts videos, clickbaity videos at that about the situation. I think it's gross. I think it's pathetic, and YouTube did not step in. It just, I don't know where we go from here. But I do hope what happens now is we all just move on. If Creepshow Art does come back, just let her yell into the void. Let her post her content. Let her get the low views. If you want to, I mean, I'm not saying you should do this, but if you want to make her videos never be recommended again to anyone, if you are subscribed to her, I would just stay subscribed, but never click on anything she posts. YouTube might unsubscribe you if you do that though, because they do have a way of purging subscribers if you do that. But it will affect what is called click-through impressions for videos, which pretty much says your subscribers are not clicking on your video, why would we recommend it to other people? It's pretty much like killing the algorithm for a video or like a channel. So I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not saying that. Just saying. I ask you in the audience to write it down below. What now? Are we just gonna move on? Are we gonna be more vigilant of content creators? What now? That's all I'm asking. And this part wasn't really supposed to be long. It was just more so like a open-ended question, me just talking about my personal experiences with everything. So I think that's all I got for you. Woo! Wow. That was a lot. I have talked for over an hour, and I know I did because I checked the clock and it's like 11 something at night, the time I'm recording this. I have a lot to edit, but just want to conclude with this. Emily Artful, I hope wherever you are living your best life. Creepshow Art has been banned to the Shadow Realm, as I have said. Anthony, kick rocks. Everybody else that was involved, I really am sorry for you. And I just hope that you are able to move on peacefully from this situation. For all those fans that have also been affected by this, I pray for you. This is not something that's fun for anyone involved. Like Emily Artful said, there's really no winners in the end. But I do think, in the end, Emily Artful did win by just speaking her truth and just moving on the right way. Creepshow Art comes back. Good luck. Not going to care about anything you have to say. And I think that's really all I have. So, once again, it is Malcolm. That's me. I have a lovely subscription button up here. I also have 2 other videos over there for your own free time. Without further ado, I wish you well. I wish you good health. And of course, I will see you again next time.